I'm actually recording.
That's my fault too. I didn't check.
Well, you don't check. You don't normally. I don't know. You're not checking. That's not what you're supposed to be doing. So
yeah. So if you're seeing this video, it's because we forgot to hit record while we did the podcast, and
we have Unsnipped ready to go. If you guys want to watch that.
and so this will be the first and only time that you will see our pretty faces. And
then you will see cards, so you can still watch. There is going to be cards showing up, but you won't see
this. And that's probably okay. I had a lot of eyebrow raises that just weren't necessary this time.
We didn't get a what the fuck moment, so that's okay. No. There, that's
yeah.
But wait, you had a lot of eyebrow raises. I thought I came up with a lot of good stuff.
You did, but we hope that you enjoy the episode either way.
Sorry, guys.
Thanks for watching.
See ya.
I don't know what I'm supposed to say. What do I do with my hands?
Well, enjoy the episode. Yeah, none of our faces are on this, but until right here, this is it. But you'll get to see the card, so you'll still get to enjoy that. So sorry, guys. Next week we'll be back on. See ya. Just keep making. Oh, you nail that. You nail that, but you can't get the one when we're actually signing off.
Yeah.
Foreshadowing.
Seems right. It's life, and then it's life after gout.
Yeah, so what is it? AG is what we're going to call it, after gout. Welcome, CommanderSmiths.
We are the CommanderSmiths.
I'm Adam Smith.
And I'm Lowery Smith.
Don't worry.
We're cousins.
We're cousins. Oh, I almost got it. Why do you change the inflection on that every time now?
About?
We.
I don't know. Smiths. I don't know. I was impressed that I had the same.
It breaks the ice into this because all we're doing is just giggling after or during the whole thing. So it makes it just going.
And
good job,
neither of us
Larry.
have smoked marijuana in a long time.
It's been years for me at this point. But you've eaten some.
It didn't affect me at all, and that was over a year ago.
So that's what you say, but we were all laughing behind your back. I'm just kidding.
I think Trombley at least had like a contact high.
Didn't you mix it with booze? Weren't we drinking and like?
Did we do anything?
Did we try to do the cast at that time? No, we didn't.
No, we did the cast the next morning.
Next morning, that's right.
Yeah, remember because that was when we did the pocket change.
Yeah, 2 dimes in a nickel rant. Yep.
Not so happy. All right.
I still wish that we would recorded that night when we or that day when it was all going down. That would have been kind of fun.
That would have been real bad.
All right, this is episode 168, and we're continuing something. What are we doing? We're doing something here.
We're gonna do Plan B again, but it's gonna be Insurrection again, but choosing different cards.
Yeah, Insurrection with different cards.
No, okay, Cyclonic Rift.
Oh, it's a card.
And so how do you fight against Cyclonic Rift? It's going to be this one was tougher. Different. Yeah. Oh yeah.
This one's a lot tougher to figure out
because Cyclonic Rift is basically the best card in the game.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't win you the game, but it gets you the best opportunity to win the game, and it's the answer for everything.
It is the answer for everything.
Yeah. When we were talking,
God. Sorry, what?
God. It is God. Oh. When we were talking earlier, I have noticed lately, I don't know if it's how our decks are built or whatever, but the person that casts Cyclonic Rift doesn't necessarily win when we've been playing. It seems like players recover really quick because of monoracks and all that stuff. But
it's also that I try and keep you in check.
I'm not you. It's not me. I'm not saying me.
You are 90% of 75% of Cyclonic Rifts. How do I play from you?
How do I play Cyclonic Rift when I'm playing red?
Well,
motherfucker, how do I play it? You tell me. Touche.
Well,
I too have an uncle.
Well, you, to steal from the segment, you fork the Cyclonic Rift,
nice.
and then that is how you deal with it. And then I'm like, God damn it, Adam is casting Cyclonic Rifts in mono red. What an asshole.
He did it again. That was a good one. No way to say enough wells until you figured out an answer to get those Cyclonic Rifts in there. That worked out pretty good for you. We also have Stump the Smith Savant. Another patron has given me another Savant for you.
But you don't have to be a patron to send in any ideas.
But this is a patron. So this one's from Gwen, by the way.
Oh.
So get ready for another Yu-Gi-Oh card.
Yu-Gi-Oh card
so we got that, and then we have One Spec. I know that Strixhaven just came out, but the archives, mystical archives, are kind of going apeshit, especially the Japanese
ones. Yeah.
So, I mean, I bought a Japanese one, like certain cards, about a week ago, and then today I was looking at them, and the cards that I bought already have doubled, and I'm just getting them in the mail like now. So I don't know. It's interesting that we're doing a One Spec on something that just came out a week ago, but these are like a little bit kind of like a special part of that. And then at some point we're going to hit Strixhaven, which I already know what my spec is for that, but whatever. Can check it out on the Discord. It was all, we were talking about it today. What are you drinking there, Lowery?
Not my beer for tonight. I thought we were going to go longer and unsnipped.
Oh yeah, that was a
I'm
very
just
short.
Into I guess we can, since we're doing it. Okay, so I'm gonna be drinking 90K IPA from Laconia Brewery again.
Nice, very nice.
It's an IPA. I had one on Sunday when I was playing with League on Discord.
Oh, how'd that go, by the way?
Jaw convinced the entire table to gang up on me in a 5-person game, and I was
gonna say, wasn't that a 5-person game?
Yeah, within an hour. I was grateful. The last 2 5-person games lasted 5 hours.
Yeah. So my question for you is, when you got knocked out, did you stay in chat, or were you just like, "Fuck you guys, I'm out of here"?
I stayed for a little bit, but I was cutting up Curated and
gotcha,
and trying to focus when I was done.
I am drinking water with juice because guess who has gout? Because I had to talk about it last week, and fucking A, it's all cured. Blah, 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 blah.
Well, you missed your medication on one day. And then
one day,
drank beer,
and that was the day I drank the most beer that I have have drank in a long time.
Your gout life, because it's a second life within your life.
Yes.
You have your entire normal life, and then it's life after gout.
Yeah, so what is it? AG is what we're going to call it, after gout.
It's like the second religious.
Right.
Second religion.
Oh, it was my second year AG. And things were just, and not even referring to gout, just talking about, Drake's
After
baseball. He did awesome. 2AG. What the hell is 2AG?
What is that?
Oh, it's after gout. What the fuck are you talking about? But yeah, so I skipped the medication. We were painting for 12 hours on Saturday because my parents took the boys. We're just trying to get the house ready for you guys to come this weekend. This will be the first time you've seen the house.
It will be.
But we were just trying to I just needed a weekend that we could get the second coats of paint everywhere. So now we're down to two basically rooms left, and we're done. So, but then
awesome.
After about like dinner time, we started having beer as we were painting, and a few beers. My favorite Northeast, and I had another one last night.
Gout.
Okay. I do have. You know what's funny is I did try to get the bang bang bang.
I don't want relationship. I just want bang bang bang. I don't want to know your name. I just want bang bang bang.
I tried to recut that, but that's really the best quality that there is, because there wasn't YouTube when that one came out. It was before YouTube.
Was it
so
like
now
a mixtape or what?
You remember like E-Bombs World and stuff like that? You don't remember E-Bombs World? Where you used to like see graphic videos of people like breaking shit. It was like YouTube before YouTube, but it was more graphic.
E-bombs. Isn't that like a meme website nowadays?
Probably.
I think I see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So like, I don't think that's where this was, but it was like a site like that. It was way before YouTube. It was my sophomore year of college, and so I'm sure what they did was just transport that whatever site
Was
they had
YouTube
it on.
not around then?
No, YouTube started popping up when I was, it would be my second or third year in St. Cloud. And I remember that's what started to become the thing. I mean, it probably
I remember,
existed, but it wasn't a thing yet.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
Okay. I remember you living with Cindy in sin at that point. And you were showing me the YouTube video of the
Two Girls, One Cup?
unicorns and
I
Candy
almost
Mountain.
pulled that. That's funny you brought that up. That like showed up with that same with the bang 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 stuff.
Yeah.
That was on like the suggestions on the
Oh,
side.
right on. Yeah.
And so I was like, man, I should really cut that up. Get one of those little Charlie Candy Cane Mountain. Yeah. But I didn't. So,
We'll get there.
well, really quick funny story. How the hell did this come up? Oh, so tonight I was trying to remember something, and in my old age and kids and so much stuff going on at once, I couldn't just find the basic words. You hear that all the time on the podcast. I'm like, I can't think of the word that I'm trying to say. And so Cindy kept trying to like finish what I was saying. Like she's trying to guess what I was saying or whatever. And I was just like, quiet. I was like, you interrupting cow? But I didn't. But you know the joke, the interrupting cow. And as I was saying cow, it went really long because I was like, this sounds really bad. So I was like, stop interrupting cow. And she's like, oh. I was like, no. Whoopsies.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah. Well, the good thing was after that, she's like, that's something you got to tell in the cast. I was like, yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah, that's no.
Yeah.
Like in
that
your
was
head.
Trying to
Yep.
grab the words and put it back in your mouth. Luckily, she knew the joke too, because otherwise that could have gone very, very poorly.
That could have been real bad. Real bad.
Anything happened with you this week, Lowery? You got to play some League, like you said. Did you have anything else? You got to build that deck? Any cool stuff,
build
cards
what
you got?
deck?
Your deck, your card, your Magic deck. Because you built it. I guess you built it a week ago, though.
Yeah. In between the two casts, yes.
And actually, you're working on Spotlight, actually, to have that
Yeah, my
video
goal
pop
is to
up.
have something up by next week on Essex.
Woo! And here comes a dog.
Yeah, dog came down.
All
Coming for a
this
visit.
stuff I told you on the phone today. All this stuff I used to cut, and now I just leave it in.
Now
I'm
it's
like,
just
fuck. Yeah.
Goes click clack.
There's a dog in here.
So yeah, hopefully I get a spotlight on Essex for up on next week for YouTube, and then my curated will be kind of tying into that. So hopefully I get my shit together and do some, maybe not. I don't
Woo!
know. I don't make promises 3 months in advance like Adam. So I just
It's my
leave
tease.
it very
It's my Everlong tease, and then people see it and they're like, "Holy shit! They actually were serious."
it happened.
It's like, how long was I building my house, and I'm still working on the house?
Yeah, I mean that's going on 2 years now. Feels like.
Number two
I just-
actually made a funny joke. He's like, you should have turned you selling my house into the same thing with your house, just never ending selling your house. Like it took me. I was like, that's funny, but then it sounds like I'm a really bad real estate agent with this
It would.
market. It's like,
It
yeah,
would.
it's been like 3 months. I still have no offers on their house.
I do miss you saying like, I don't know if you heard, but I'm building my house.
Yeah.
I miss that bit. That was a good one.
That's what he was wanting me to do with that. So kind of
Yeah,
keep that going.
no, I
but
wouldn't do that.
yeah. All right. Well, if that's it, let's get to our tags, and then we can kind of get into the episode. We want to keep it not a short episode.
Giveaway.
Oh, yes. Or did we do that? Let's do that right now. Okay. So,
Right now or after the tags? Right now.
let's do the giveaway right now. So, as you know, if you tweet it out, what do they have to do? They have to retweet You had to like it. You had to
And
follow us. And then that entered you in for this Kiki Jiki right here. And Lowery, why don't you draw that one?
Here.
And
Yeah.
Wait.
Oh,
Drum
oh.
roll, drum roll, drum roll, drum roll.
Picking from my son's sun hat. Oh, that's a lucky guy.
What is it?
I don't know. It's kind of
You're
weird. It's
yeah.
Guy.
Oh, Guy got it. Nice. Congratulations, Guy. All right. And then I have for Yawgmoth. This is for... God, let's see if I can get my camera right. I keep going off camera. Whoop. Yawgmoth. Now, these are the time-shifted ones. This is for any patron that is $5 or more. They just get automatically entered in. So I have it all in this little...
Let's just hope that Guy doesn't win this one.
All right, I'm just going to mix it around a little bit. And draw. And we got Paul Hemi. Wait. How do you...
Hemminghouse.
Hemminghouse. Congratulations, guys. Sweet. So thank you guys. Also, that was because we had the most downloaded month about a month ago. We're hoping to get there again soon.
We didn't get there in April.
We did not.
And it doesn't look like we're going to get there in May, even though it's probably the 4th or 5th when you're listening to this.
Yeah. I don't know, it's weird because I thought it's sometimes a naming thing of when you do the episodes, and Plan B just didn't grab people, but we're hoping that Cyclonic Rift. This is actually a good one because there's a lot more. What would you say?
This one's actually good. Last week's not so much.
Last week's was really good. I liked it, but the thing is think about this. How many times have we seen Insurrection played? Like, honestly, probably a handful. I mean, not really that much. But you see Cyclonic Rift all the time. Not just me. I see it other people playing it because I play red, and I should be playing. But so I think this one is going to help a lot of people. Probably people, if you have more suggestions, it'll be nice to get those as well. But this should be a pretty good episode with Cyclonic. So, okay, let's get to our tags. So first off, we do have 2 new patrons this week. Sorry, I am trying to get my... Okay. So we have 2 new patrons this week. Jacoby Sims and Jason Kirkner.
Welcome to me forest.
Got it. Right. I was trying to beat you to it before you said it.
That was my son.
Wait, hang on. I got 2 of them. You ready? Here's my favorite one, actually.
Welcome to a meat forest.
That sounds like a fairy tale of a meat forest. Yeah.
It was gold. I was like, oh, this is awesome. I was working on this for like the last hour before we recorded and everything. But yeah, so we have the first one. I think how I cut it off, it really does still sounds like, see, it sounds like he says meat forest.
Welcome to meat forest.
And then then you were like, yeah, it sounded like you said meat forest. Then you're like, say meat forest. And then he enunciates more.
Welcome to a meat forest.
That sounds like a fairy tale of a meat forest.
That's going to be... Oh, I'm going to have fun with this one. This is going to be the open or shorts, because then I'm going to use the background as like a bunch of meat forests.
Yeah, well, I mean, like the meat forest sounds like where the bandits of the meat forest and Robin Hood's gang hang out in the meat forest. I don't know. That didn't really work, did it?
So Jacoby and Jason, welcome to the meat forest. We appreciate you jumping on and becoming a patron. You can become a patron too. I got to grab my actual notes here. Become a patron too for just $1. Gets you into the Discord. That gets you into League. That gets you into having... Holy crap! Today Discord was insanely busy talking. Yeah, it was like, I need to work and everybody's talking. But no, it's great. Everybody's on there. Battlebox League.
I think that's a really good point, though. We record on Mondays, and Mondays generally are really bad for people. Like, people don't like them. They're first day of work, and our Discord makes Mondays better.
Yeah, it went by fast.
It went very fast.
It took me probably twice as long to get ready for today's episode because I was like chatting like, oh, the specs and this and that. And that's been really cool, actually. About specs have been kind of going nuts lately. Everybody throwing their ideas around and everything. So that gets you access to that. You do get unsnipped whenever that gets posted if people want to. We still didn't get anybody saying they wanted it, so I didn't post it. So eventually it might come back if people want it. All right, and then $5 or more gets you Proxy of the Week each month. If you're $100 or more lifetime, you get to pick your proxy, any proxy from any of the Pick Your Proxy of the Week stuff. Then we jump into YouTube, and that is the free way to support the show. Just jump on there, subscribe, like a couple videos, watch them, get our play counts up. That's fun. Trying to get to 1,000. We're almost halfway there. So it's been really increasing quite a bit, especially Lowery's curated last week was what? And this week. I want both of them. What was the curated that really got popping last week?
Oh, Jesus.
Do you remember?
Dense Foliage from last week did really well. And that's just like budget asceticism, and it kind of gives all creatures Shroud from spells.
Again,
very cool card.
That card I did not have, so I bought 5 of them.
I have
like
brought
50
that up in our
cents.
spotlights over the last 3 years, no less than 5 times. Every green deck, and I was like, hey, people should play this more.
Yeah, but when you see it visually and you're like, and then when you're like, hey, this works because then your creatures can affect you can get them with your creatures because it's only spells. Yeah.
With curated.
Because they're curated, yeah.
And then today, what did I do today? Oh, I
was
went
the
with
equipment.
Kusari Gamma. And that is an equipment that whenever a creature is blocked, it deals damage to its, like, every damage, all damage dealt to it is dealt to all the other creatures.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a one-sided wrath. If you're just like sick and tired of like 1/1s blocking your Zergo Helm Smasher, which was what the example that I used, but it just kind of stopped. That would deal like 7-8 damage to all their creatures, and they'll more likely just take the damage until they have to do something else about it. But you become a big threat to whoever you're attacking.
So that was pretty sweet. And then also on there we have, each one of these episodes, you can see all the cards we talk about. We have the shorts on there. Lowery's Curated MTG is a short. Also have Proxy Time, which last week, haven't done a Proxy Time of Digi tokens. So last week was the first time I've done that for that. And we did that for Wandering Archaic. That turned out pretty nice. Actually, that one's more of a tutorial. It is a Proxy Time thing. It was only 9 minutes long. But it is showing how to make your own tokens if you wanted to go through and do that. So it's kind of a little bit different than the normal Proxy Time. Then what else do we have on there? We have some live box openings, which we'll be starting to do the live stuff a little bit more. And I believe that's it. We have a lot of videos. We're just pumping out the videos. And Lowery Spotlight's coming up too in a week or so. So then you can jump on Twitter, and that's where you see some of these proxies. Proxy of the Week. You can see Curated MTG, where there's more discussion maybe there. And then Not Sharing with Adam, and direct message us there, or you can shoot us an email at CommanderSmiths@gmail.com. That is it.
The best way to get a hold of us is on Discord.
Yes.
Which has a paywall.
Good job, Lowery. That was good.
Welcome to a meat forest.
That sounds like a fairy tale of a meat forest.
I had to cut that one up a little bit because you laugh for about 3 or 4 seconds because you're just like, because you just enunciate so well, and then you say that. So I was like, I need this to be really short, so I cut it up so you're really close there.
He's a cute kid.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. And so what I did, because you sent me like 10 minutes of you guys just talking, and you're just like, that was the best actually, because you're just like, I don't know what the fuck this. You weren't swearing, but you're like, I don't know what I want you to fucking say. Like, you're like, what do we need? And then you did say hello. You didn't say boobies. You said,
hello, mommy.
Hello, mommies. And I was like, yeah, that's pretty good. Could do that. And then I wrote down a couple others. You had magic, and then you're trying to get him to do the Wrong. But it was too low, so I don't think it would come over. So I was like, all right. But I loved the meat forest.
Yeah.
One more time.
Welcome to a meat forest.
That sounds like a fairy tale of a meat forest.
I think that's the button. I think that's more. I like that better than just the little Lowery. I just like.
I dig that.
All right. Let's get into. It's time for everyone's favorite game show, Stump the Smith Savant.
Did we miss this last week?
No, you had an AJ last week, didn't we?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we
Right,
did.
Yeah.
All right. If you don't know how this game works, I am going to read the flavor text of a card. Lowery is the savant. I am stumping the Smith Savant, and he is going to try to guess what card it is from the flavor text. Well, I was running out of breath there. He can ask yes or no questions. Every yes, he will hear this.
Hello, boobies.
Every no will hear this.
Wrong.
Minus 10 points for every wrong guess. Every clue minus 5 points. Starts out with 100. Points don't matter. All right. So this week, this card comes from a patron, a listener, Gwen. And she felt bad about the Yu-Gi-Oh one, so this one's a little bit easier.
Oh, is it Digimon this time?
Yeah. How'd you know? Shit.
Pokemon?
Hello, boobies.
I'm just kidding.
Oh, shit.
No, I'm just kidding. All right, here we go. What once soared high above Tarkir is now reduced to a seat. What once soared high above Tarkir is now reduced to a seat.
Dragon Throne of Tarkir?
Hello, boobies.
Look at that. Whoa. How'd you do that?
What?
How'd you
I've played
figure one
that
out?
card. It's pretty fantastic. Yeah, so that's an equipment that makes it so that that creature gets like Defender, but then you can tap it, and all your creatures get +X for its power.
Yep.
What?
All right, I got another one coming. Sorry, I am going quick here because I have one more from AJ that I am going to get to.
Want to get that in since I just kind of had an idea.
Yep,
That's all right.
you killed that one. All right, so a single vivid feather fetches a royal price, but who, having seen these magnificent creations of nature, would settle for a feather?
That's a fucking book.
I know. I was like, I hadn't read it beforehand, and so I was like, shit. I hope there isn't anything I'm just gonna really mispronounce here.
All right,
You want it again?
I'm gonna have to need a reread on that.
Okay. A single vivid feather fetches a royal price, but who, having seen these magnificent creations of nature, would settle for a feather?
Birds of Paradise.
Hello, boobies.
Motherfucker! Look at that! You know the crazy thing about that is that's the secret layer Birds of Paradise.
Ah, okay. All
How'd you
right.
work that one out?
Lucky ass guess right there. I mean, everything
It's
in my
talking
head
about a
was
feather.
telling me that it was a phoenix because like feathers are kind of like a part of phoenixes and they're all birds. And then I was like, there's got to be a different, like, I'm not going to be able to pick a phoenix super easy. And then the only other bird that really popped into my head was Birds of Paradise. And I was like, oh, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your Stump the Smith Savant. This is the true savant right there. He didn't even waste any time with that.
There we go.
That was impressive. I am thoroughly impressed, Lowery. All right. Well, you got those pretty damn quick. All right. So now
That's because I'm on my second beer. That's it.
yeah. It's your knowledge juice right there. All right. So we are getting into Plan B, and I do have an opener for it. It's not going to make any sense, but here we go.
Okay.
You have to like pretend like you want to use a condom. I like to say something fun when I bring it up, but honest, I'll be like, you're gonna want to wear this. I've had a busy month. It's like a petri dish right now. I don't know what's happening.
Could you hear it?
That last
The beginning?
part? Yeah. It's like
Well,
a
the
petri
whole-
dish.
Did you hear the beginning part about how she has? Okay.
Yeah.
It
That's Amy
doesn't
Schumer,
make.
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I almost did. There was, I don't know. I was trying to find Plan B. There is no Plan B jokes. Well, there are jokes. There's really bad jokes,
They're
but there's
really
nobody.
bad at that. Yeah.
But they're not like no comedian is saying them. It's only like written jokes. It's those.
Just like,
Yeah.
I mean, people are at least smart enough not to say them out loud. So
Right.
that's okay.
You had mentioned last week about Knocked Up, and I typed in Plan B Knocked Up, and all it came up with was the scene where Paul Rudd and Seth Rogen are like high on, I think they're on ecstasy, and they're like freaking out in the bedroom, in the hotel room, because I think they went to Vegas. I forget. I haven't watched Knocked Up in a long time, but yeah, I was like, well, this doesn't work.
I swear there's a bit that they have where she's like, "You didn't wear a condom?" And he was like, "No, I didn't wear a condom. I don't want to fucking wear a condom."
You might be right. All right. So this week we are doing Cyclonic Rift. If you guys didn't listen to last week's Insurrection, go back, listen to that, and then jump back to this one. But what this entails is we're going to set up a scenario you probably see quite often with this card.
And then we'll change it midway through.
Yeah, we will change it a little bit. In the beginning part, the 3/4 of the way of this part, we're talking about this is being cast. It's either being cast or has been cast, and how to deal with it. So, again, no counter spells. You can't counter it.
Teferi's protection is off the board as well, or is that allowed?
Teferi's, we're taking that. That's like a counter spell. In a way, we're just saying that because Teferi's protection is the answer for everything, pretty much.
I mean, the thing about like counter spells, you kind of probably should have them in your deck, just like Force of Will, that kind of stuff. And Teferi's protection goes in every white deck. Doesn't matter the situation or the theme of the deck. Those are kind of the two things that take care of a ton of things. And so we're going to be talking more about like maybe a little bit more niche, but still played a lot, and how they interact with Cyclonic Rift. And it goes in other segments, against other cards as well.
Right. And that's the key part. We're not trying to give you crazy random cards. There is going to be some crazy random cards in here just to be like, give you some ideas of stuff.
Yeah.
But for the most part, these are they're not going to be so, like you said, niche to just go for you're only targeting Cyclonic Rift. And that's the only thing it's good for.
One card in their 99. Right. You're like,
So we're trying to give you suggestions of cards that you may use already in other decks that might be a good idea. And maybe you don't use them, but they would fit in those decks, and this might be a card that you switch out with another one. If your play group is doing consistently dealing with Cyclonic Rift. I've played with our play group, and I've played with people on the Discord. Cyclonic Rift gets used. If people are playing blue, unless you're Lowery, everybody's playing Cyclonic Rift. Like it's in
true.
that deck.
I have it in 2 of my 6 blue decks.
So
but yeah, it's right there with Teferi's protection.
Yeah. So okay, so we're dealing with this a lot. Let's start off with the one that we talked about last week, and we really won't go over a lot of that. We'll just kind of, if you want to see what the cards are of that, jump back to last week's episode. And actually, if
I'll still have them in the notes, but I'm not going to link them.
Yeah, and I was going to say on YouTube, how everything's divided is chapters, so you actually can skip to that section and find that pretty easily. But Flicker Effects is a pretty good way to deal with a Cyclonic Rift being
So
cast.
just taking your creatures, removing them from play, and having them come back at the end of turn.
And that's the key. It's not
turn.
blinking. Yep. It's flicker effects. So they have to come back at the end. Because if you blink them, they come right back, and they're still getting Cyclonic Rift. So check out those from last week or the show notes if you want to know the details of those. We're not going to really go over any of those cards again. But then we'll jump into something else. The next topic would be copy effects.
Yeah, I like that idea from you.
So copying, what that does is it makes it so it happens to everybody. Instead of that one player being ahead of everybody, you're copying their spell. You're forking it. You're going, all right, well, boom, I also have a Cyclonic Rift. Everybody else gets double Cyclonic Rift, but that player that cast it.
Double Cyclonic Rift.
Yeah. So if you're able to play an ETB effect at that time between the two and has instant speed, it'd be really sweet. You get it to happen twice, right? It's
work.
But anyways, one thing I thought would be kind of cool in this situation would be like a dual caster mage, because you cast it, it's a permanent, and they Cyclonic Rift it comes back to your hand. You're also Cyclonic Rifting. And then you get to cast that again for another spell later in the game. So I thought that would be kind of cool. But in general, you're looking at what? Forks, Reverberates. One I thought was interesting was Twincast. Narset's Reversal is interesting because it kind of does that same thing. You're getting to cast the Cyclonic Rift, and then that player gets their Cyclonic Rift bounced to their hand. Yeah. So they're most likely going to cast it on their next turn, so that the playing field's even. Because if they don't, they're getting hit by you twice, most likely. So, I
brought up Spellqueller, and that was one where it like removes or exiles a spell on the stack of 4 or less, and even with Cyclonic Rift overloaded for 7. Its CMC is still 2, and so you can exile it, and then if Spellqueller leaves, that player can cast it for no mana, but it's not going to be overloaded. It's just going to be the targeted removal. So I thought that was kind of a cool way. Spellqueller is a really cool card.
Yeah. It's almost a borderline counter, but it's not. It's like a manipulation of it, and it really it neuters the Cyclonic Rift, which is kind of cool. Okay, so I think that's pretty much it with copy. That's pretty quick. You have a bunch. There's a lot of them, so we're not going to go over all of them. There's just anything that does the copying.
Well, I mean, really, there isn't. That is the majority of them. There's a lot that you
did we say
copy
reiterate
for yourself.
Yes, there isn't a lot of copying other people's. And that's the key. You don't want to copy your own.
Nope.
You
double Cyclonic Rift.
All right. The next category would be more of your wrath effects. So at that point, the Cyclonic Rift has happened. Player A, I shouldn't do that because then that means Adam. No, player X is
fucking you.
I'm red. No. I only play red. Was it unsnipped that you figured out, or was this in this episode? Now I don't remember which when we talked about it. Where you're like, you're always playing Cyclonic Rift. I'm like, I'm always playing red, and you're like, well, your fork. Oh no, it was earlier in the episode. Fuck, god damn. I'm not even drinking. I have water.
Did I cast fork on your conversation and then just copied to right now?
We need to stop having unsnipped, because then I forget if we talked about it in this or if it was unsnipped, and we don't even put unsnipped out there. So what the fuck? All right.
Yeah, that was definitely at the beginning of this episode.
I'm so high right now.
Get off the mushrooms, man.
Did you watch that short?
Yeah.
It was very different than the episode. Or my favorite is zooming in on your face and you're just like, what the fuck? All right. So wrath effects.
What's the purpose of the wrath effects? What are you thinking?
So in this case, how I was thinking this scenario would work out is player X casts Cyclonic Rift. The board, everybody gets their stuff bounced. Player X gets their turn done. They do their attacks. If they do it on their turn, maybe they don't. Maybe they're doing it just before their turn's going to start. Then you kind of wait till their turn's over. So it kind of depends on where this order is. But as soon as player X is done with their attacks, because that's their turn to actually do some damage, you tell the rest of the board, don't play anything because I have removal. I'm going to eliminate them. Because at that point, a lot of times what happens with the Cyclonic Rift players, they become the target. They become the arch enemy, and the 3 players kind of have to work together to take them out, or at least get them at even playing field.
And I call that the spiteful removal. Like, I would say if somebody casts Cyclonic Rift, everybody should use all of the removal that they can cast at that point to get the Cyclonic Rift person down, to like make them less powerful. Like, just level that playing field. And so,
Yeah. So you can go with just regular wrath effects. That doesn't hit their, you're having a disadvantage because your mono rocks, all your artifacts, your enchantments, everything's going back to your hand. Every player's getting that. So I kind of focused more on removal of all non-land permanent kind of stuff, or maybe like Blot Out the Sky was a card that we talked about on one of our top 10, where it's going after, what is it? It's non-token or non-creature, non-land permanent. So you're hitting artifacts, land, or artifacts, enchantments, all that stuff of that player. And then you're also getting 2/1 flyers. So you're getting an army in response as well. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was an interesting one. You do have a ton of other stuff that just removes all non-land permanents. Like you can do Planner Cleansing, Hour of Revelation. But one I like is, and it's from Zendikar Rising, but Ondu Inversion. So those are those flip lands. And what that one does, it on one side, you have the spell, which is Ondu Inversion, which removes all non-token or non-land permanents. But if you need it for a land, on the other side, it's a plains, or not a plains. It's just a basic white, not basic, because it's not. You can't search for that. It's a white monosource on the back
comes
side.
in play tapped.
Yeah, so I'm trying to use those a little bit more when they work in situations. If you're dealing with a play group that has a lot of Cyclonic Rifts, or you're playing white, this might be a good option to do a reset anyway. So even if you're not even dealing with a Cyclonic Rift, removing stuff from the game is always nice. And when it hits everything, that works as well. Did you have some other stuff on the removal section?
Not for Wraths, no.
Okay. And you can just play, if you're really just worried about creatures, you can just play your normal Wrath of Gods and all that stuff too. But I would, like Lowery said, you go for, everybody's working together to get that player down. Like
you should be.
Right. Probably 8 times out of 10, the player casting Cyclonic Rift is doing it to try to win, or then you have those 2 out of 10 times where it's
saving their ass.
Saving their ass. Or the 1 out of 10 time maybe where it's trying to take out the player that's about to win the game. So
yeah, that doesn't happen often.
Yeah. Okay, so then we move into hand size. That's for the YouTubers right there.
You gotta, let's embellish a little bit.
Yeah, my hands are huge. Why is my palm all hairy?
Lots of bathing.
All right, so what are we doing in the hand size matters here?
I think you're pretty heavy into that too, but like the thing where the angle that I kind of took with that was, so like my Glen deck draws a ton of cards, right? So I plan on having so many cards in my hand that I need to discard. I want to do that in that deck, and that because I'm kind of graveyard centered in my thinking, where I get a lot of value out of that. And so if you have that plan already in your deck, a Cyclonic Rift doesn't necessarily affect you, where you can be like, well, I'm going to discard all of these larger artifacts and then cast Open the Vaults on my turn to bring them all back into play on my turn. Mm-hmm. And so like you're being able to abuse that, or like Planar Rebirth, where you just discard your basic lands. That's more in the drawing aspect. But if you have some type of mass reanimation, like in creatures, artifacts, enchantments, that kind of thing, you can abuse that Cyclonic Rift to your advantage if you have that already kind of planned into your deck, right? Mm-hmm. So like, yeah. So Open the Vaults was my example, and it just brings all artifacts and enchantments back into play. And if you're like, I'm going to discard Dovescape, and then just bring it back into play, it's going to be great for you. So
that's a good idea. Well, and that's your recursion stuff. That's
it's more like planning on having such a large hand that you need to discard, which is almost the opposite of what you were thinking with Thought Fezzle, and like having cards that allow you to have those cards in your hand so you don't have to discard them.
Yeah, so like you were saying, there is one was Seagate Restoration, so that's another flip land from Zendikar Rising. What that one does, which is pretty insane, is you're going to draw as many cards as you have in your hand +1, I think, or something. But then you have no maximum hand size. And what that also does is you can do the other side and play it as a blue land. So that, again, that's another card where I'm like, I kind of want to start using those things that have those options of being a land on one side and a card, because you could use that in this situation here. You can get very much an advantage with your hand size. I got to remember what all these other ones. I had Reoccurring Insight. God, I should have actually. I had all those up, but that's Reoccurring Insight. That must be. Now I gotta look it up.
You draw. I believe it has Rebound, and then you draw as many cards as an opponent has in their hand.
Yep. Yeah.
That's what I need.
Maybe
is
that's why I
drawing
didn't
more
star
cards.
that one. Yeah.
Maybe we should just say maybe everybody needs to start playing Omniscience more, and then they can just like play cards. For
Oh wait,
free.
that's on here. No,
Is
I'm just
it?
kidding.
All right.
No, it isn't. No, let's get away from the hand size stuff, because really the Seagate. That's why I only had that one starred, was the one that I liked, because it was. Then you have no maximum hand size that can't be taken away from you. It stays that way.
A little bit, because some of the stuff that you've mentioned are like spells, but I do like the idea of having permanents that can flip into a land as well. So if they're returned to your hand and you don't necessarily want to play them, you can put them down as a land that turn if you don't have lands in your hand, type thing. So you're still like moving through and getting cards out of your hand and replaying spells and using them to an ability.
So you're saying like other flip stuff too, is what you're saying?
Yeah,
there?
yeah, like permanent stuff though. That's more of what I'm.
Because it'd have to bounce to you.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff so then I did more of like things that dealt with your hand size. So Psychosis Crawler would be interesting because you get everything bounced back to your hand. Psychosis Crawler is a card that you use in a drawing deck. That's in my Bruvac deck. It's in my Necrosar deck. So it's one that I'm using, but it kind of has to fit in that theme of you're drawing a lot of cards. Yeah. In this situation, you could just play your Psychosis Crawler. Now you have a big fatty on the board. Another one that would work would be Body of Knowledge. Yeah. It's as big as how many cards you have in your hand, but you also have no maximum hand size, and all damage dealt to it, you draw that many cards. So that one's an interesting one. Then here's my dick section, a big dick section.
Let me hear it.
If you feel like sometimes, like we had just mentioned, the player that plays a Cyclonic Rift is just trying to save their ass. And they aren't necessarily a threat. They may only have a couple things out there, but they're like, oh, fuck, I don't want to die. Cyclonic Rift. You know that if you get a turn or two, you can kill that player because you just have a bigger advantage. So if you had things like Price of Knowledge, where after the Cyclonic Rift player plays that, and you play a Price of Knowledge and it gets around, you're going to wipe out the other players just because of all the cards they have in their hand. Yeah. Or something like Jin Gitaxius. Is that how you say that?
Yeah, Jin Gitaxius.
I just say Jin. That you could really dick some people over with that one, because then you have no maximum hand size. Or you do have a maximum hand size. Or does it take it away from you? You draw 7 at the end.
You still have a hand size.
You still have a hand size, but you draw 7 at the end.
But everybody else has
to
discard, has no hand size.
And that one's at flash as well, so you could do that if you had the mana to do that. So those are my dick cards.
That's dick. That's dickish. Sire of Insanity, and then cast Cyclonic Rift. We're just talking about things that can help Cyclonic Rift players now. Yeah, right? Exactly.
There is one. Hang on, I think there's one. Fate. I have it on my list, and I want to see if it's the one I'm thinking of. Yeah. Okay. So this one, this was my one that I didn't say in the first part, but I think you could use, and I haven't seen this card used ever, but Fateful Showdown could be interesting if you're dealing with a lot of Cyclonic Rift players.
I don't know this.
Because it's 2 red and 2 colorless, so it fits my colors. Red.
You're not a red player. Stop pretending.
It's an instant, and then Fateful Showdown deals damage to target creature or player equal to the number of cards in your hand. Discard all the cards in your hand, then draw that many cards. Yeah, I know. It could really, really backfire. But you could kill that player if you just returned 20 permanents to your hand and you had a hand already and you're just like, boom, 20 damage to you. I draw 20 cards, basically a reset for me. I don't know. It could be an interesting play with that. So I kind of threw, because I haven't seen that one played.
That's new to me.
Yeah. So, all right. So then this last section is more of the scenario is everybody's playing Cyclonic Rift. You just need to start dealing with it on a regular basis. Yeah. So these are like cards that'll help discourage Cyclonic Rift or get rid of it before it is ever even played. So why don't you start us off here? Because this is where you went a little deeper on this, and I completely forgot about this until you mentioned. You're like, yeah, this is a good thing. I was like, oh, that's a really good idea, because I only have one on here. Maybe I should say mine because
say yours
because it's I just put Teferi Time Raveler. So what that's doing is making it so that other players, opponents, are playing at sorcery speed, so they can't play their Cyclonic Rift. They can on their turn, but they can't do it on your turn. Yep. So that's the key with that one. But what are some other
very similar cards to like forcing people to not play for when they want to would be like Teferi, Mage of Zhalfir, which makes everybody play at sorcerer speed and your creatures go at flash speed. Dragonlord Dramoka has nobody else can play spells on your turn. Defense Grid, people got to pay 3 more to cast spells on not their turn. Grand Abolisher. Yep, I was about to say that
That's
one. That's probably
the
big one.
Yeah.
Grand Abolisher's played a ton. There's City of Solitude, where everybody has to play on their turn. And then there's Docent of the Falling Leaf, which is a creature of the same thing as City of Solitude. So these cards are just forcing a Cyclonic Rift player to... hopefully what you do is you got the gotcha moment where they're like, I cast Cyclonic Rift on your turn. You're like, actually, fuck you. And and another one that came to me before I wrote on the notes, but Marissi, Breaker of the Coil, because people can't cast spells during combat, right?
That's the goading.
Yep.
Goading one. Yep. So that would just be a combat trick. They could still cast spells.
Yes.
During other people's turns. Normally, what a Cyclonic Rift player does is they play it just before their turn. Yeah. Right before they're about to say when they
swear,
say go.
You always cast it against me because I'm like, Adam has 7 open. Let's force him to do. And you have it 100% of the time.
I know what you're talking.
100% of the time.
That's
what I went and Vampiric tutored for the Cyclonic Rift.
It's so
on
weird.
Turn 3. And I was like, why did you do that?
No, because you pointed that out. I did that recently. When was it? It was an in-person game. It might have been, you weren't there. I think it was during this last year. Mm-hmm. And I purposely had my lands tapped so you couldn't, like, not hiding it, but just not obvious that, there's 7 open. It was like, because you do your lines. Like I normally do, like, blue cards are all, islands are 1, whatever. So I know for myself. So I tapped it. So like I had like 1 untapped in this pile, 2 untapped in this pile. I had tricky. Like 4 or 5. Yeah. And then when I did it, I was like, I tapped my lands all funny. So you couldn't tell that I had it. Because Lowery, he's very good at looking at the lands.
Keep an eye out. Okay, some other things that like mess with timing for Cyclonic Rift would be the land hate section. Stone Shaker Shaman. At the end of your turn, any untapped lands, one of them.
Whoa, getting aggressive there.
I am. So, thank you. If you have an untapped land, you need to sacrifice a land. Price of Glory, which is awesome. It's so good if everybody's playing at instant speed. And Price of Glory, anytime a player taps a land on another player's turn, they sacrifice that land. And so
that'll shut down
that'll stop counterspells, all that stuff. It's such a good card. And then you have Citadel of Pain, which people will take damage for each untapped land that they have at end of turn. So that'll make it people aren't just going to be like, I'm going to leave open 7 because I'm bluffing turn after turn after turn. You know what I mean? That's going to kill them pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's why if you don't have it, just tap that 1 for no reason, just to make it so you have 6, so they don't worry
that's
about you
6.
having a
Don't
cyclone.
worry about me. So that's the land section. Is there? There was a couple of random small spots. So Obeka, which is new from Commander Legends, and that's like, I think that's pretty corner case unless it is your commander. But you can tap it and you can end the turn if that player's turn chooses to end it. And so
that would be a benefit if they're playing on anybody's turn but their own. So that would narrow that person down to just casting it on their own turn.
yeah. There is Ashaya, Soul of the World from Zendikar Rising, which turns...
That one's a sneaky good one. We talked about that with that Ashaya back in the day.
Yep. And so that turns all of your creatures into lands, and Cyclonic Rift does not bounce lands. So, cha-ching.
That should just be played in tons
Randomly.
of decks anyways.
Yeah, and it just like ramps you hardcore too, right?
Mm-hmm. If you have green, it should be in there.
Praetor's Grasp. And there are other cards that have this similar effect, but where you can go into an opponent's library and pull a card out, and then you can cast it, or just pulling a card out. But this allows you to cast it as well. Kind of a pretty cool card idea. And then there's a bunch of cards like Nevermore, which is an enchantment that when it comes into play, you choose a card name, and that card name cannot be cast.
Couldn't you do that with Pithing Needle too? Or is that a not?
That's
what is
activated
Pithing
abilities.
Needles? Is it okay?
Yeah. So
we
their
don't play
meddling
with that.
mage is a bit more of what we'd be looking for, but that one seems easier to kill, but it can definitely be there. And there's a couple more cards like that.
Yeah, there's a line of those.
Declaration of Not is kind of a cool way of doing it, but so that's kind of how I would do it, because there a lot of those cards that I'm talking about like affect how like removal is being used. Like you're not doing it at instant speed on almost any of these. It slows everybody down to sorcery speed games.
So that would be my take from all of that section. Is the ones that I will and other people should play with are the cards like Teferi, Time Raveler, like Grand Abolisher, where those are affecting all the other players but you.
Yep.
And that makes it so that they're only playing. And those I can see, and they are being played by tons of players. And those are ones that just should be in your deck anyways. If you're playing blue, white, that should be in there. If you're just playing white, the other, like you should have multiples of these in there. And that's just a huge benefit to stop Cyclonic Rift. Kind of, because they can still play it on their turn, but at least hinders them from taking the biggest advantage of it.
Yeah, and I think that's the really important part of Cyclonic Rift is that it's the timing aspect. And so if
everybody's all tapped and
if they can do it at any place that they want, they are in such a good position. If you can force them to cast it when they don't want to, then that player, like, it's not as good of value. The card is such a great value card.
Yeah, if you're able to cast it right before your turn and then untap all your land and do more stuff, it's just insane.
And hit somebody for as much damage as you can, because there's no crackback, right?
Yeah. You got a couple turns before
it
anything
affects
happens
everything.
back at you.
There's no actual prevention that can happen other than counterspell. But you know what I mean? There's no Shroud or Hexproof or Indestructible or Regenerate for bouncing things back to your hand. There just isn't that type of thing. So affecting how it is played, I think, is really important.
Yep. All right. Well, I think that's it for that.
And you have to like pretend like you want to use a condom. I like to say something fun when I bring it up, but honest, I'll be like, "You're gonna want to wear this. I've had a busy month." It's like a petri dish right now. I don't know what's happening.
She's so lucky. So much sex. So much.
All right. That brings us to
One
Spec. to rule them all. Mystical Archives Edition. All right, so we are doing the Mystical Archives, any of them, either Japanese, English, whatever. The reason we're doing that is they seem to, I don't know. You would think that these would, I think they will. I'm hoping they'll come down more, but they've been going the other way. I don't get what's going on here.
Well, okay, specifically for what you're talking about is the Japanese Mystical Archives, and I totally agree with you, but I don't, there just aren't a lot in the US.
Yeah.
And so, like, in compared to Japan, where that's where most of them are going to be. And so we have a shortage of them in America. And so I don't see those going down. And that's, but I didn't pick a Japanese alt art one.
Well, I think, so there's quite
because
a
I'm not
few.
into it. So
yeah. And the thing is like, there's a lot of stuff in this, not just Japanese. Look at one that I've been picking up quite a bit is D-Spark, which that's not one we're talking about, but D-Spark is pretty interesting because that card by itself is from War of the Spark. You can get that one for a $6 foil. You can get that one in the Mystical Archives, which I like better than the original D-Spark. You can get it for like $2, $2 or $3. I was getting them for $1.50 a week ago. Now they're like $3. So, I mean, that's not a lot. But it is a special edition, and you're looking at comparing it to a foil of a set that's at $6 and has been climbing. You're gonna follow the same path with these. It's gonna be there.
Should we talk about the ones that we did pick?
Yeah, let's do it. I just D-Spark was a one that I liked, but it wasn't one that the return was where I wanted it. You know, yeah. I want cards to get to 10, 20, 30. That one's maybe a $6 to $10 card at the most. Mm-hmm. So, why don't you start us off, Flower, with your pick?
All right. So I went with English version of Natural Order. I think any version of this would be more than fine. Natural Order, you sacrifice a green creature, and then you go and search for a green creature and put it directly into play from your library. This card's a legacy old guard staple, but also it's a great card in Commander. Like, going and searching for a creature card, a green creature card, and putting it into play is huge for 4 mana. It's crazy. But I think it's not played a lot because it's a $30 card. And the Mystical Archive right now you can get for like $12 to $14. Pretty easy. That's non-foil. I think I was seeing the foil and etched foil around 30. And again, I see those going drastically up. It's a special version of it. There is, I want to say it's a Judge promo foil, but it's just a special foil. And that's at $75 on Card Kingdom right now too. So, like, that's where I half expect the foil versions of these to go, up to 70. So those are double in my mind. And then the non-foil should go from like 13 up to 30. I see it just getting back to that. Again, unless they plan on reprinting this again. But for me, in my mind, if I'm buying into anything Mystical Archives, I want it to be a solid pick. You know, and there are some really good cards in this, and there are some really shit cards too. And those shit cards aren't going to do shit because they're shit.
They're going to be shitty. I definitely agree with this one. Your full art, the foils, like not the foil etched, are sitting at like $22. So that's not bad.
Yeah.
That's not bad at all. Your foil etched ones,
I think that was 35 on Card
which
Kingdom.
it's weird because the foil ones are much better looking. But the only way, the etched foils you can get for 17.
Oh yeah,
17. Yeah, I was gonna say they should be lower because they look a lot better. The foils are much nicer looking than the foil etched.
This might be a much better pick than I thought it was too.
Yeah. No, so it's like this $20 for that. That's pretty nice. And then even if you take off, you get the regular, the non-foils are at 14.
Yeah. Yep.
So you add $6 and you get to foil the best.
And I think the foils, like just out of my set box that I got, like the foils look amazing.
Yes.
And the non-foils are cool. Don't get me wrong, but they almost feel a little flat, and the foiling gives it like texture and depth, and you're like, shit, that's good. That's good.
The foils look fantastic, and the etching is just weird. It's weird. We talked about it already. It's like a nice little detail that they add, but it's not much at all. Like it really is not that much.
That maybe they're just trying out a bunch of versions.
Yeah. So, but yeah, natural order. Totally agree. What did you say? The promo judge is at 80. Yeah. Eternal Masters foils are at 50. You're picking these up at 20. It's easy. And actually, to be honest with you, I think I like this version the best out of all the ones. I mean, you got some nostalgia with the old ones, but I like the art of this.
I think this is the
design of these
this
cards.
is the version to get for sure at this price.
Mm-hmm. So sweet. Yep, that's one I might pick a little. I got a couple of those. Oh shit, I haven't. Go back. Oh, good for you.
Who's
Oh, wrong one.
Oh, good for you.
I got a couple of those in the packs that I've opened, so it's they're pretty sweet. All right, my one spec is actually Counterspell, believe it or not. Counterspell is used in 118,000 EDH rec decks. So
we knew that. I would have guessed that if you asked.
Fucking Counterspell players. What is up with you?
And
guys?
this is
anyway.
really the first time I'm looking. I was just like, I don't remember what the Japanese alt art looks like.
So
and I'm like, this looks crazy good.
That's part of the reason why I went for this one more. I have a lot of them.
Yeah.
I did a lot of specs today, but I like both versions. I like the English version too. It just has that stop palm, like it's countering your spell.
That's why I hate it. So
yeah. I totally agree. But so I'll start with that one. The English counter spells are going for $10 foils, full foils. I wouldn't necessarily go for the foil etch. I mean, I think those are like $4 or $5. So those are definitely a grab, but I think the one to actually go for is the Japanese. Now here's where I'll say go for the etched foils on those. They're going for 17 because the foils of those are going for 50. So this counter spell looks amazing, and also the foils are so much more expensive. The Japanese non-etched ones, those are in the I think 30s, because I think the only way you get those are from Japanese boxes. So that's why they're more expensive at the moment, because we can't get those non-etched. I believe that is the way that works. But the art in this counterspell just looks absolutely amazing. So that's kind of the reason I'm going for that. One other side note. I'm not saying this is the reason why I'm picking it, but this is also a possibility. There have been rumors, because they've been trying to get counterspells into Modern. If they somehow, in the next couple weeks, when they start spoiling Modern Horizons 2,
wait, what is Modern Horizons coming out?
It's in like a month or so, a month and a half,
shit.
I think. It's coming out pretty quick. I'm actually surprised they didn't start spoilers already. But if they spoil this in Modern Horizons 2 and it gets into Modern, the special versions of counterspells, which is why I actually spec'd on these. I got only a couple of each, but I went with both because I think both versions have a huge potential to go up if that happens, but not only if that happens, if it's just counterspells in general. These are your high end, kind of like what you were just talking about with Natural Order. I wouldn't say they're the best versions, but I like that Japanese art counterspell. Might be one of my favorites. I'm going through all of them right now and looking, and I mean, I like the original one with the dude and his spell kind of like
spell impotence
is like a limp, like a spell penis, like
Yeah.
impotent. Yeah, like you just said. Yeah, he's just like, aw. But these representing both versions, I take Japanese art first, and the English version is just kind of a sweet representation of counterspell.
I mean, it's a little bit of the crazy thing. Like, there's so much good art for counterspell. Not trying to like shit on the pick, because I do think I think the Mystical Archives look gorgeous. I'm just looking through the arts right now. Yeah, the Ice Age one, maybe I don't know, 5th edition, 6th edition, that looks like shit. 7th edition is bad too. But Beatdown Ice Age, that one's good. Everything.
Yeah, and you got,
Jays.
and I wouldn't. You're not comparing it to the old stuff for pricing, so there isn't really a good. You got the promos, the judge promos and stuff, and that I wouldn't necessarily compare.
It's definitely somewhere in the middle.
Yeah. So easy, $17 for those. I know I was looking last week at the counterspells, and they were in the low teens, so they're already going up there. The English ones are a good buy too. So, but those you can get the whole foils I would do there, not do foil etched.
Yeah, I don't know. I can actually see them higher than some other counterspell arts for sure. It looks good.
So,
it's gorgeous. So,
but again, go through the Mystical Archive stuff. I've gone through 2 different buy times where I've gone through and I'm like, I'm trying to fill out. I only need like 8. Oh, good for you. I only need 8 cards left.
Oh, good for you.
To complete the English and Japanese. And really, it's only 2 English cards because I don't have. Teferi's Protection looks so amazing, and I don't have either of those. And because of Japan, I think what did we talk about? I think we talked about it. Fast Finance mentioned it, but there's a shortage or something of
a print error. I
yeah,
think it was a print error with Time Warp.
Grape Shot.
Maybe D-Spark?
No, not D-Spark. It's all the ones that are on my list. Fuck, where's my list?
But
there's like 4 or 5 cards. Well, I have it.
Oh,
here
hold on.
I got my list. So it's Channel is one
Channel?
for some reason. The Japanese one. Channel is one of them. Grape Shot is one. Lightning Bolt is one. Time Warp is
4.
one. Yeah, it is 4. So wait,
Time
Channel,
Warp, Grape Shot,
Time Warp, Grape Shot, and was it Lightning Bolt? I don't remember the 4th one. It might have been Lightning Bolt. No, Lightning Bolt's just expensive because it's used a lot. At least those 3. Maybe Brainstorm.
Okay.
I'm just trying to think of the ones that I have that are really expensive right now. But anyways, if you happen to have Time Warp, that's up to like $300 now.
in foil.
300-400.
I'm surprised. Yeah, like Card Kingdom has just like non-foil. Oh no, it is foil. All right. It must be the foil etched Demonic Tutor. Japanese is $239. Whew.
That's just a foil etched now.
Yep.
Yeah, because the my demonic tutor is a
good for you.
Oh, good for you.
is a nice crisp $500. But yeah, I don't know. Go through a lot of that stuff. I can tell you that the foils of the Japanese, just the foils ones, there were tons of them that were under $1, the really bad ones, but the art looks good. Now all of them are like $5 to $10 at least. So, and a lot of times I'll have stuff in my cart and I'm going through the list, and by the time I go to checkout, people have bought them all, and I'm like, fuck it. Go back through, buy some more. So, all right. Hey, we didn't do a 2-hour episode this week. That's good.
You're welcome.
Yeah, my editing is going to be a lot less. Woo! All right. Well, that should do it for this week. We will catch you guys next week.
See you later.
What the fuck is you? What? See you later. Did you like forget what we're supposed to say?
No, maybe. Thanks for listening.
See ya.
Bye.
Sega.
Can we try that again?
I love boobs.
Bye.
I'm talking tatas. I love boobs. I'm bonkers for honkers. I love boobs. Thanks for the memories.
I don't go off a script. You can't just come at me like that. I can say whatever I want. All right.
You're not my real dad.
You're not my dad at all. You're my podcast dad.
Oh.